Hello, and welcome to my dining room. This is episode 15 of the Live and Learn Knitting Podcast. Today is Thursday, March 28th, 2024. My name is Anne, or Annie, and I live on the banks of the Mississippi River in western Wisconsin. And look, we're back on this side of the dining room table today, and the sun is shining, as you can see here. See all that beautiful sunshine? It's everywhere. I had to move around. I think this is an okay spot to sit in for a little bit of time. And also, I just juggled this. This is an orchid that I got to rebloom. So I'm really happy about that. This is the second one that has rebloomed for me. It takes a long time to get that to happen, and I've got some orchids that need some TLC, but it's always nice to see that they're reblooming. Yeah, it's fun. And I also have a bloom here, another rebloom that's going to open up soon, an amaryllis. This is an apple blossom, pink and white. It's very pretty. And there's another one poking up, just starting to come out of the bulb over there. And I have a lot of amaryllis. Everything. I've been putting the orchids outside too in the summer, and the amaryllis. I put them in the shade under the ferns, and they really seem to like that. And the amaryllis are just multiplying like mad. And I need to read up on that a bit more, because somebody told me that they want to be crowded in a pot, and I thought, because I was dividing them up, and the smaller ones, and repotting them, and I do have tiny pots. I mean, they could be pop bound in a tiny pot, but I don't know whether I should leave them all clumped together for a while longer or not. I've been doing both, so I need to study that, and it's time to start gardening again really soon. My fig here and my orange tree back there are just, they can't wait to go outside. They're tired of being in the house in this, not getting their fresh air and fresh. We did have rain and snow this last week, so we got some moisture, and that was good. We're hurting for moisture. So, but yeah, they want to go outside and get rained on and feel better. Yeah, we all do. Spring rains are rejuvenating. They really are. So there is tea today, and I'll show you this pretty little mug that I got. Let's see, it says CJ Wildlife on the bottom of it. I found this at a thrift store when I was working at the National Wildlife Refuge, and it is, look at that sweet bird. That's one of my favorite birds, red-breasted nuthatch, with its pretty little eye stripe there. And I don't think I saw any this winter. I saw brown creepers, and I saw the white-breasted nuthatch. Of course, I don't want to say plentiful, but they're around all year. I see them, and I think they must nest in the yard or in the area somewhere close by. And I do keep a bird list and keep a mark of what birds nest in the yard, and it's a lot. There's a lot that nest in this little patch of wilderness, suburban wilderness. So that's a good thing. Anyway, the tea, because I've got a long day today. I've got a meeting in Winona tonight at 7, and yeah, so I will be home late, 9 o'clock. That's late for me to be out. Doesn't happen every day, so that's fine. But it's a yogi tea, raspberry passion, perfect energy, energizes and supports focus, which means it does have some caffeine in it. It's a mix of black and green tea with some Ayurvedic ingredients, and hibiscus and stevia, sage, a lot of good things. And it's I like it. There's two that have caffeine that are tastes good to me. The raspberry, and then there's also sweet clementine, or sweet, they used to have tangerine. but sweet clementine now, which I think is the same as tangerine, right? Anyway, the little affirmation says, an attitude of gratitude brings opportunities. And that's true. It's all about your outlook. And we have a good outlook here. Yeah. There was a cat fight earlier. I think they're done. George is sleeping. He was going to be the director. He was sitting on the other side of the camera, and he was chewing the cord and bumping the tripod and everything, but he's gone to sleep. I hear Gracie nibbling in the other room. She'll go to sleep now, I think. And we'll have peace and quiet for a little while. Okay, on to knitting, what we're all here to, well, we're here to talk about everything. Oh, one more plant. This pretty little African violet that I got at the local florist. This is one of my mom's favorite plants. And this shade, especially this, traditional violet shade. So I picked this up, and I have a few other violets that need to be, my mom could just, repot them like mad and propagate them, and was always, taking a leaf that looked like it was in trouble, cutting it off and getting it to root and grow, and, she was really good about expanding her African violets. I've got a couple like that on the windowsill in the kitchen that have roots on now. There were some side shoots that came up, and one is a leaf that I think might make it. We'll see. I didn't put rooting hormone on. She never did. She didn't know what that was. She didn't have that fancy thing, but she could do it. She just had a green thumb. So yeah, so African violets, they're fun. I just need to find some pots. I have them. They're out in the garage. I need to get to them and get everything organized. It's that time of year. Get everything planted up and start growing stuff again. So, knitting, what I'm wearing today. This episode I'm going to call Neck and Neck, because it's two neck things, neckwear. This is the Audition shawl by Knit Pearl Hunter, Michelle Hunter. And I know I'm in the sun a bit. You can it doesn't go down too far. There's a long tail here. This is where it started. And I will take it off. I actually, why I wanted to talk about this, and I was going to put it on, and I still could have put Helen's nice shawl pin that she sent right here, although it is staying, and I'm going to take it off. So I thought, well, rather than pin it up, I'll just do this, because it fell. This is my dilemma and why I don't like to wear shawls. To me, a shawl is the big, thing you wrap around and almost like a small blanket. That's a shawl. This is more of a scarf, a big scarf. And I don't necessarily like to wear these because of all of this that lands in the front. I don't have a big front. So maybe that's it. It just kind of, like when stuff just starts to, here, it's not comfortable for me. And I never know how to place it. And a lot of times it doesn't fall right. So it's just, and also then there can also be a big wedge of stuff in the back. Right now it doesn't feel like it. And it probably, yeah, I mean, still it does, because it makes my hair poof out, and all that just is, it's just a good word to say is uncomfortable. For me, it's uncomfortable. Maybe it doesn't look bad. Maybe it does. I don't know. Anyway, this is a very nice shawl. I really like making it. But I just don't make a lot of them because of this whole, I don't know how to wear it. I don't feel comfortable wearing it. I don't wear this very much. I should, because look how pretty it is. Look, it's very nice. but it's just overwhelming for me. And that's why, like, some of the bigger shawls where it's just really a lot. This isn't a lot compared to some of those 5-skein shawls. A Stephen West. No, I just don't know what you'd do with that. I couldn't do it. Also, this is made out of a heavier weight. It's not a fingering weight, so it's a DK. So there's that. That is making it a bit bulkier. If I made a giant fingering weight shawl, would it feel better, sit better? I don't know. I don't think I want to put the time into it to see. Although that yarn that I was going to use for the Andrea Mowry shawl, and now I think I'll do a Martina Baim shawl, that might be the test. Because that's a fingering. That's a fine fingering. So we'll see. I should try it once and see if that makes a difference. Anyway, back to this. Back to Michelle Knit Pearl Hunter. And this was, I was going to say this was the last pattern she put out before she went on a hiatus, but I checked last night, and on her Ravelry page, she did put out a pattern for a blanket throw, and then also baby size throw in 2021. And I didn't see any explanation as to if that was just an afterthought that she wanted to publish, or if she was going to start up again. There hasn't been anything since 2021, but she's a very prolific creator, designer, and she's written some instructional books, these building blocks series, building blocks of color, building blocks of lace, and others. And a lot of her designs featured Scassell yarns, and she's got an amazing amount of tutorials on YouTube for everything. And if you go to her website, which I will link down below, it's so well organized, and it's just nice. I like the layout of it. It's easy to find everything. You can look up patterns. You can look up tutorials. They are categorized and everything like that. There's a blog to follow, although, again, she hasn't updated it because she did. This was going to be her last design, and then she was going to stop for a while. So nothing new, but catch up with everything that she's got. And if you need a tutorial on something, go there. She's a great resource. Something like German short rows, or what was one? There was different ways to do mattress stitch. Just anything. She's got it. So yeah, very good resource. And so this shawl, it was called the Audition shawl, and it was a make-along, knit-along, a mystery. And I think I mentioned before, I don't like that because I want to know what I'm getting into. I don't want to commit a lot of time and money and materials and that, on something that may or may not turn out how I like something. But I think in the either the promo of this make along, this knit along, they maybe showed the first pattern, which was this pattern here. And I'll take it off in a second, show you up close. But it's, it started out, maybe the first clue, I don't know. Something about it, I think they showed this because I looked at it and thought, okay, I like that stitch pattern. I want to know that stitch pattern. I will do this. I will commit to this. And if I don't like the next section that comes out, I'll just go back and do this again. I'll make it work. That was going to be my fallback. Anytime there was a section that I didn't like, I'd either put in a different stitch pattern that I did like, or I would go back to something that had come prior. So that was my plan. Now, the original yarn that the pattern called for was Skacel Haiku Simplicity, 2 colors, solid and sprays. And spray was sort of a speckled, spattered, very light gradient. It was a light colored yarn, and you could pair that with the solid. And that was what a lot of people did. And I don't know if that was more of a worsted weight. It seems like those shawls were coming out bigger than what I ended up with. But I just didn't like the look of that yarn. It didn't appeal to me. I didn't want a light colored element in my shawl. And that was what I was seeing at the yarn shop, were the light shades. And this came out in October 2019, and so going into fall, and I wanted something that was more seasonal for that. So I picked 2 colors of Malabrigo Dos Tiras, which is one of my, I like it. I like it as a yarn. And Dos Tiras is a blend of merino and alpaca. And so this is the Sunset colorway, and I think this is Diana, if I remember right. Yeah, and they just really play well together. They're nice, and in this light, it maybe doesn't look like it matches this at all, but there is a lot of a green in this Diana shade, that pops out in places that does go with this, and that's really what you want to. You don't want to be so matchy-matchy you don't see things, but it pulls one color from another. So I will take this off and show you all of the beautiful stitches that are in here. So it started out with a nice, just a warm-up of a long, and it is that elongated asymmetrical triangle. So it started out with, some garter stitch to get you warmed up, and then look at that stitch pattern. And I don't think she had names for these. I didn't pull the directions back out to see, but there probably are names. But isn't that a fun texture? I love texture patterns, love them more than anything. So I could see doing a whole sweater with that texture pattern right there. And in fact, putting this on the other day, trying to figure out how to style it and looking at it closely again, I thought, oh, yeah, this was, I need to get back to some of these patterns and do something with them. So that was the first clue. And I think there were 4 clues, if I remember, right? 4 sections. I don't remember how often they came out. It probably was like once a week, because I started it on time, October when it came out, and I finished it in November, a month later. So yeah, I think that was it. 4 clues, 4 weeks. So the second clue, and now it is one of my pet peeves, or not, that's not a good word, but just, I know it shouldn't happen when you have lace on a patterned yarn, because you don't see the lace, it fights. And it does kind of fight here, but this isn't really lace to me. Even though there are lacy holes, there are yarn overs, you can kind of see them. But it's more of a texture with some holes that enhance it. It's more of a texture of diamonds and garter stitch and this little bit of, I don't think that was a slip stitch, but just texture to it. So that was fun. That was a lot of fun to do. So I didn't have to go back to my beginning, my plan. And then we had, some more garter stitch stripes to break it up. And then the next section was more texture. Look at that. And that is just a fun, again, textured rib. And wouldn't that look great at the bottom of a sweater? It's a ribbing it's let's call it a faux ribbing, because it doesn't pull in, and for me, I don't need a ribbing to pull in. I don't pull in at the bottom of my sweaters. So that could make, a great ribbon cuffs on a sweater. That could make a nice hat. Could do a lot of things with that texture pattern. And on the back, that's the one thing about this shawl too, is that when trying to style it, trying to wear it, is that there is a definite front and back to it. So I can't, I want to always have the front side showing, and how do you do that and make it all work? So anyway, we had a big section of that, and then we had a little bit more of a different texture, and this also has lacy holes in it, which you can see, but to me, again, it's more of a texture, and I could take those holes or leave them. I could just do a basket weave, but it is a basket weave with some holes, so sort of a basket weave. There's a little bit of a crossover at the top of, I don't know if you can see that, at the top of there's a crossover. That's, and it's like yarn over, I don't know, slip one SSK or something and yarn over kind of a thing. So yeah, nice. And then, some more garter stitch stripes and this lovely cast off, which, nice texture, a little bit of nubbly. This was not, I forgot to look up to see what the cast off was. It was not like a reverse crochet or anything that, throw you there, let's at the end crochet. No, it wasn't that, but it's sort of, it's just a picot, naughty little, it's cast off, which was very pleasant to do. So the whole thing was very enjoyable to knit and make. And I wish I could figure out a better way to wear it. See, this is the problem. I'm kind of just gonna flap it all around here and do, and that's not good. That's not, I don't know how to put this on, because this bothers me, having this all hang out. Wasn't there an Oscar dress or something where it was just way out here, and I thought, yeah, I don't, and if it flops over, it's just all too much for me. Now, if it's cold and I want to just push all this together and wear it under a coat, that's fine. But, if I want to sit and, have it be it's too much focus for me. So, wonderful pattern. If you like shawls and scarves and like texture, do this. This pattern is for sale still on Ravelry, $6. It's worth it. It was a fun project. I'd make it for a gift for somebody if they, liked wearing shawls like that, because it was just really fun to make. It's just, for me, it's just not fun to wear. I won't give it away. I won't take it apart. I just keep it, and I'll put it on from time to time. And if the shawl gods smile on me, I can get it to lay exactly perfect, fine. If not, because right now you can't see that, like the big long tail is just hanging big down here, and I just don't know what to do with it. So, yeah, that's, but it feels good. And the Dos Tierras does have, with the alpaca, it has a heft to it. It has a drape, definitely. And maybe that's part of it. It's not light as a feather, so it wants to hang how it wants to hang. All things to consider when you're making a neck wrap. So the next one I want to show you is more of a thing that I would like to wear. Now, it's not something I can wear, inside as a an accent, a scarfy accent, but it definitely is utilitarian, which is more my jam, I guess, more my cup of tea. Yes. So this is I called it the spirit scarf because of the yarn. This is called the multi-directional diagonal scarf. And this one's by Karen Banner. Free pattern on Ravelry. And it is, so let's say you probably started here at this, knit a garter stitch triangle, picked up along the edge and knit in the opposite direction. And again, and you just kept doing that all along and made a long strip of garter stitch. And look at what that does for a self-striping yarn. Isn't that just fun and gorgeous? And it just shows this yarn to its advantage. Yeah, it makes it move. And this, actually, when I first knit this, it was wider. I don't know if it was longer, maybe a bit longer, but it was wider for sure. Now, I do like to wear this one kind of like this. This is one good way, to do that. Look how easy that was. There. And it's going to stay put, and it's going to show itself off to a nice advantage. And it's going to stay, this is where I want it, snug up under my neck for a coat. And actually, this hanging down doesn't even bother me. If this was maybe a dressier yarn, I could handle this kind of a scarf laying on my front, and it doesn't feel too overwhelming. At least not in the winter time. Another time of year maybe. And actually, I do have a summery lacy one I'll show you that I'm okay wearing too. But yeah, this was wider, and at one point, I don't know where I washed it. If I put it in the washing machine with the, if I was doing a whole bunch of socks, I will put them in the washing machine and gentle, just a little bit of agitation, and then stop the washer and let them soak. Maybe that's what happened, because it kind of got skinnied. And I swear it's at least an inch narrower, if not more, and you can, it's just so pretty. So this yarn that I use, the pattern on Ravelry calls for Noro, Silk Garden. Any of the, long color change or a color changing yarn like that, like Noro, Feederbrook would look good in this. Trying to think of some of the other, like Knit Picks Chroma, worsted would probably be a good choice for this. But the yarn I used, I had 3 balls of Twillies, there we go, Freedom, Spirit, and Twillies of Stanford. And sadly, I don't think that's a UK-based yarn company. Yarn and Needlework, they had embroidery kits, needle point kits, some cross stitch, and nice yarns. And I don't think they're in business anymore. I tried to search, go to their website, and nothing there now. And you can buy leftovers of yarn and kits and that on the various online places, eBay, and etc. But yeah, they seem to be done for, which is sad, because this was an excellent yarn. And I have, this shade, I think I have 10 balls, a sweater's quantity of this shade, and I need to figure out what to do with that. My friend Ellen, she just finished a sweater in Twilly's Freedom Spirit in neutral stripes like this, tan, beige, like, the brown families. And it's gorgeous. It's just, it was just a top-down raglan, and it's beautiful. Yeah, it looks so good on her. She did a fantastic job, and it looks so comfy. This is a wool, 100% wool. It's a singles, but it's a marl, and it's not scratchy against. I mean, I can take a bit of a toothiness, so it doesn't seem to bother me. And Ellen is fine wearing hers too. The sweater she made, she doesn't feel any itch or anything with it. So yeah, so I'm not sure what Neural Silk Garden. I don't know what other yarns would be a good equivalent, but there's so many yarns out there. I can't keep up with them all. Anyway, yeah, so I made this in 2008, and I do wear this under my coat in the wintertime. It's very cozy, comfy, and keeps me warm. And this is neck. This is a challenging neck. This is an easy neck for me. So that's neck and neck this week. Yeah. So that is, and I think I'll just keep this one on for the rest of this. And look, it kind of goes with this shirt too. But you can tell it's not really an accessory scarf as far as being decorative. It's a workhorse scarf. So the next thing I want to talk about is book chat. Yes, I'm just at the end of the mystery that I talked about a couple weeks ago. I pick it up, I read a few pages, and I really need to stick with a little more than just a few pages here and there, because there was a second, that starts out with someone getting murdered and someone getting attacked, and now we're in the back and towards the end of the book, and another person is killed, and I can't remember where she came in the earlier in the book. She did, but she was just sort of you didn't know she was going to be a central figure, and now she shows up and gets killed. And I thought, wait a minute, who is she again? Where'd she come from? I recognize that name. So I need to stick with them a little, more intently, because I'm liking this one, but I just haven't. Yeah. Anyway, that's not the one I want to talk about. I'm so off topic sometimes. Book chat. This is what I want to talk about. Mrs. Mallory Investigates. Hazel Holt. This series, Hazel Holt was an author. This is all she wrote. There was one other novel, but otherwise she wrote Mrs. Mallory. 21 books in this series. The first one I read was in 2000. I don't remember why, what year she started writing these series, but she died in 2015. So the last book, I read the last one in 2017. So I read the whole series. I really enjoyed it. And it's set in the West Country of England, near Taunton, but in a fictional town called Taviscombe, which is near the sea, on the sea. So I'm thinking like northwest of Taunton a bit, because she talks about taking her dog Tris for walks along the seawall and along the beach and that, in blustery weather, and she paints such a good picture of living in England, living in I'm not sure if that's the Cotswolds, but living in that area, the west of England, just everyday life. And Sheila Mallory is, I started reading these when I was 39, and I finished when I was 56. And so Sheila Mallory is, they don't give her exact age, but she was a widow with an adult son, a son who was studying at Oxford. So, put her in that 40s to 60s age group, similar age. And there's not romance in this book. She's not like, falling in love with the detective or anything like that. It's just, she's just a woman on her own with her dog and her cat. And I think there's maybe knitting in here from time to time in this series. She is, for her job, the character's job, she's a literary critic, and not a book critic, but literary. So she'll take, she mentions like what era. She takes books from, the previous century even. I don't think she doesn't specifically mention, maybe she does. But it's like, it would be similar, like she would take Jane Austen and, write a literary criticism of it. But I don't think she did Jane Austen. Anyway, she'd take authors. Scholarly works is what she would do. And there is one book where she goes to Oxford, and, this whole description of her doing research at the Bodleian Library. It's like, oh man, I want your life. I want your life, fictional character. Yeah, so it's just good. And again, the murders, the mysteries there are murders. This one had a murder in it. But they're, again, gentle. There's not a lot of violence. There's not, definitely no coarse language. Very pleasant. So there's Sheila, there's her friend Rosemary, her son. I was trying to remember if there's a detective that even, or a police person that even figures in. He's not that prominent. It's not like she's helping him solve it. She does help him solve the crime. She does, but it's very sedately done. She's not out there intentionally getting into trouble, sleuthing or anything like that. She's just quietly figuring things out. So there's I'm trying to remember, it's her mother, a dowager type character, very stodgy and old-fashioned. Yeah, so just really, really enjoyable. Again, not a knitting-focused series, but the kind of thing that you can read and relax. And if you can read while you're knitting, this one's for you. I don't know if there are any audiobook versions of this. I just read them all. It just, puts me in a nice mood. A good cup of tea and a scone recipe, thing. And that's one reason why I had to have tea this morning, because I made hazelnut currant scones this week, and I have a small jar of British clotted cream to put on them. It was very good. That was the end of my breakfast this morning. And the scones were gluten-free because of the hazelnut flour. So it was hazelnut flour and currants, and I forget what else was in there, but they're good. I wish I would have made them smaller, because I have to, cut them in half. The recipe said to cut the wedge into the round dough into 8 wedges, and I should have cut it into 24. That would have been perfect size for me to have just a little bit after breakfast with a cup of tea, or have an afternoon snack of 2 and a cup of tea, something like that. So hazelnut scones, Hazel Holt mysteries, Hazel, yes. So Hazel Holt, in real life, the author Hazel Holt, had what sounds like a fascinating job to me. She was a literary executor for Barbara Pym, who is another British author. And I read some of Barbara Pym's books, and I've read some and I've listened to some audio books, and I need to actually find someone who does a critical analysis of her work or interpretation, because I'm not sure if I'm reading the right intent. Does that ever happen to you? Like you read a book and you think it's sad and morose, and then you find out from someone else they thought it was funny and light. So sometimes the author's voice doesn't come through, and I don't necessarily think it's that it's a British book versus an American book. I don't think that's it, because I read a lot of British literature. But I'm just not sure, because some of them, they just seem quietly funny or quirky or, somber. So I'm not sure what the tone is that I'm supposed to be getting with the Barbara Pym books. This is an easy tone. This is fine. But what a job to have, literary executor. Be responsible for someone's catalog of work. Fascinating stuff. And papers. To get someone's, like, all their personal papers and go through them and, do all that. That would be really cool. How do you get a job like that? Wow. Anyway, jobs we don't hear about in, high school guidance counselors' offices. Like, go to school so you can be a literary executor. That was not on the radar at all. So that's a good series, something I like to read. Okay, I wanted to give an update on Interweave Knits. A few episodes ago I mentioned that I got the last issue of that magazine, and they were not going to be publishing a print copy anymore, and they gave me a free membership to their maker space, or there was a code on the magazine that I had to go and sign up for. Well, have any of you had that, done that, tried that? Because I had no success with it. First of all, they had this code, and it was linked to an old email address that was not valid for me anymore. I was subscribed to Interweave Knits, and this is through Gold Peak Media. I was subscribed to their magazine, and it was doing an auto renewal. So yeah, the information they had was old, and I didn't think to update it because I was getting emails for the old email address, which I don't even look at anymore, and it was supposed to actually disappear, and my new email address. I got them in my new email, so I just thought it was fixed and switched, and it wasn't. So I tried to sign up with my new, I signed in with my old email, and then I right away tried to switch it to my new one or something, and that made a problem right there. It didn't work. It wouldn't let me in. And then it did let me in. But I had a problem with the whole email thing. So I was in, I had an account, but I didn't have the maker account, the one that they want you to now pay $24.95 a year for. And I looked back, and my subscription renewed in September, so I figured I had half of my subscription used up. I should get half a year of this membership, right? Doesn't that make sense? Well, apparently not. I sent them a trouble ticket saying I was having trouble getting in, and, what's the deal, because my subscription wasn't over. Do I get a credit towards this membership at all? And I got back very vague. And I sent the help desk ticket. There was no way to call. If you go to Gold Peak Media website, no toll-free number to call at all. There's one in the magazine. But I thought, well, this is all, they want this all to be web-based, so I'll go through their web process, and sent them a, help. Like, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be getting out of this, membership that you're offering me. I keep doing this. Membership that you're offering me. And they said, well, oh, yeah, you're supposed to use the, you need to use this email, your old email, and it's fixed. You're in. We see you're in. You're good. I'm like, well, I'm not in. I'm not behind the paywall. I'm not, getting the subscriber benefits at all. So I looked at what I could see for free. They talk about if you're in this Makers Club, you can get a daily email. I don't really need that. I get that anyway from them. Exclusive member-only patterns curated from their editors, unlimited access to expert techniques and product recommendations. That sounds like ads. Surprises to delight you, which from bonus content to member-exclusive sales. Again, more stuff to buy. Do it at your own pace. Log in, knit what you want, when you want. Well, yeah, I can do that without spending money. Your membership entitles you to 250 plus projects, fresh each season, 100 member exclusive projects, 10,000 plus pieces of expert advice, discounts, perks, and freebies throughout the year, which they're keeping a secret until you join. All of that just sounded so bait and switchy to me, and too many hoops to jump through to do it. And I thought about actually calling Discover Card, because that's who I paid through. And both they and my Apple card have, these protection things in there, like, and I thought, hey, I've only gotten half of what I paid for. Can I get half my money back? Discover, what will you do? I still might do that just to talk to them and see what they think. I'm thinking I've lost out on my last year's subscription fee. I could call the toll-free number in the magazine. I have a feeling I'd get a runaround. And to me, that's just not worth my time and effort. I have a feeling I'd get a runaround and then get that same answer of like, well, that money's not available to you. You're not going to get a refund for half a year. This is what you get. Take it or leave it, and you're out of luck. So it's not worth it. It's not worth my time and stress and everything to try and sort that all out and make a stink. I am too zen these days to make stinks about things that it's just not worth it. It's sad. Because they do have, if you go to Interweave, there is some good information already there. Now, will that go away? So you have to join their knitting community? I don't know. But what they've got isn't necessarily anything better or different or newer or fancier than anybody else these days. Look, Knit Pearl Hunter. Look at what you can find on her website for free. Easier to track down. It's got to be difficult for these publishers to keep print magazines going. And yeah, are we at a point where they're surplus to requirement? I am not sure. I still like a print magazine because if I have something in front of me, I have one over here, if I have that magazine in front of me, I'm more likely to look at it. The same way, if I keep the package of cookies on the counter, I'm more likely to eat them, So if I store all the knitting stuff on the computer, I do have some from the old Interweave, some CDs, CDs of past back issues that I can load up on the computer and look at. Do I? No, it's not as easy as opening that magazine, opening the hard, something tangible and holding it in your hand and looking at it. And I guess I'm just not that generation yet that can get away from this. And I really don't think getting away from this is... There's so many other ways we can cut down on paper use. We can cut down on the Land's End catalogs that come, I think, every 2 weeks. I don't need a new clothing catalog every 2 weeks or a month. Especially, I mean, I do order clothes from time to time from that company, Land's End. And what I end up doing is going online and looking, because on their website, they have a ton more information about the dress. You know, they actually tell you what the actual measurements of that item are. You know, so you know, oh, well, that's going to fit me, you know, this size is going to fit me how I want versus the size I thought in my head I needed. Or that's going to be too long because, yeah, the hem is going to fall in the wrong place. All those good things. And what's up with, here's off topic, sorry, but fiber related. What's happening with clothing companies nowadays, or catalogs or online, anything, they're not telling the fiber content. I thought that was a law, that you had to tell the fiber. But I see that in these catalogs that I'm getting. They'll just say, here's a shirt, Easy Care fabric. And then they don't say what Easy Care is constructed of. Is it a cotton blend? Is it all polyester? Is it a rayon? What is it? They don't tell. How can that be? I want to know. So, yeah, catalogs can go by the wayside, I think. But, you know, a magazine, especially a magazine with information and instruction, I think those are valuable and have merit. And it would be nice to see a compromise, a happy medium between I don't want to say a cheap magazine, but a reasonably priced magazine, and then these magazines that are out now like Lina and Pom Pom, and Making used to be one, now Making's all digital again. You know, where they're almost coffee table books and they're calling them a magazine. That's a bit too high end. So if there could be a happy medium where there is a quarterly that is, you know, has good content in it, and it can be a little artsy, that's fine. But something that's worth, you know, that's got some good information in it. I'd buy that. Yeah, I need to get back with, I think it's called Long Arm now, Long Thread Media Publishing. They've got the handwoven and piecework and all that. And, you know, I looked at the magazine list that they have now that they publish, and they have a hole there where there's no knitting. And so I know they're putting knitting content in their piecework magazine, but could they add some in for, you know, if they wanted to add a magazine? There you go. Knitting. Anyway. Really quickly, because it's getting to be almost an hour, I did start the Barocco Spring Make-Along. They had that Makers Contest I mentioned before, tournament where they had brackets and you voted for and the one I thought was going to win the knitting did win the knitting. It's this one called Conus. And I'll show you another photo. There's another photo there. So it looks like a short crop, you know, batwing, side-to-side knit. I want to use my stash. I didn't really want to purchase that yarn. So I asked the group if I could use the Barocco Medina to knit with, and I got a response like, oh no, no, because the yarn called for is worsted, and this is DK, and that's never going to work. And I thought, if you get gauge, it will work, right? It should work, right? And it's, you know, it's got that color changing effect to it. So that was kind of a little bit of a challenge there. Like, no, you can't do that. Oh, yes, I can. Oh, yes, I can. So I'm trying. I mean, it might be a big fail. I might end up with a big flop and take it apart. But this is my beginning of my sleeve so far. And all I'm doing, I did use a number. There are 9, 10 sizes, 10 sizes written for. And since it's a batwing, you know, it's pretty loosey-goosey through the chest and that. I think, you know, where you're going to have measurement issues is the length and maybe the opening, you know, but you can see that this, you know, is a deep shawl collar. So that can help if it's not wide enough, you know, that can fill in, I would think, a bit more to close it up. Also, there's no buttons on this, and I don't know if I would like that necessarily, so I might add buttons at the end. We'll see. Probably will add length a bit. We'll see. See how it goes. So what I'm doing instead of using their numbers is I am just using their schematic and knitting to the looking at their measurements, and looking at my measurements, and kind of just going with what the schematic is. So I think that'll work. We'll see. Just another project that I didn't need to start another project, but there you go. So that's everything I wanted to talk about today. And yeah, I kind of got out of the sunshine here. The sunshine is that way now. Anyway, have a great weekend, everyone. It's Easter weekend. No big plans here. My sister's birthday is on Tuesday, so next weekend, her one son who lives about 3 or 4 hours away, he and his family are coming home to visit, and the other kids are more local. So we're all getting together, going out for dinner next weekend. And that'll be nice. I have not seen them in a while, so that'll be more of a gathering. I'm going to have a quiet Easter with George and Gracie, and we're going to read books and knit and maybe take a walk. The weather's going to be seasonal, cloudy, moderate temperatures. I don't think we're getting any stormy weather or rainy weather, but you know, I should get out and walk more. I should. I just have had not as much. Actually, I'll probably walk with a friend this weekend. Not sure what day yet, but we have that tentatively planned. So there will be a walk. Yeah. Walking, knitting, reading, cooking, baking. I'm going to make, as soon as I hit stop, I'm making oatmeal raisin chocolate chip or chocolate version cookies of some kind. A cookie. I'm making cookies. I plumped the raisins overnight in water because they were very small and dry looking and hard. And I thought, sometimes do you ever have that happen where you put the raisins in a cookie and they don't plump up? They stay those hard little icky things. I don't like that. So I plumped the raisins. Do you care? Sure you do. That's why you're here. If you lasted this long, if you haven't switched off and gone on to do something else. So, and I also want to apologize to all the people who I drew the names for last time, the four ladies. I haven't sent your prizes out yet, your gifts out yet. I've just been taking my time with that. It's been a busy couple weeks, a lot of out of house things going on. So I'm hoping over the next few days to get those all together and sent out. I have all the addresses now, so yes, I'll work on that. Treasures. Yeah. So that's what's happening, and I will see you again in a couple of weeks. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did enjoy it, please hit the like and subscribe button and share with your friends. Yeah, it's all good. Again, I'm still having fun. More things to talk about all the time. For good or for bad. I don't really like to say anything bad about the knitting world in general. I'm disappointed in the Gold Peak media, but there's so much good out there. There's more good than bad, and we all have to find it and keep it going, right? Right. Okay. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.